What's going on, world? It's your main man, Kareem A. Rashid, the voice and your host of Clearing the Wreckage. Yes, we've got another great episode in store for you today. Once again, I don't know what you got going on. You could be driving to work, but all I ask is that you please pay attention to the road. Or you could be at work on a lunch break trying to get a quick sneak peek into this episode. Please clock back in on time. Yes! Or you could be doing something that is very important, to me at least, and that is on the toilet. Please do not forget to flush. Yes! What's up, wreckage clearers? My wreckage clearing community. We already at the coffee shop. Let's just get right into it. I am late. And so I want to get and dive right into this episode. Today, we are going to talk about the gift of desperation. As always, yes, thank you so much for being loyal and faithful to this community and listening. If you're a first-time listener, thank you. As I always suggest, please go to the first episode, the gift of desperation. Remember how we discussed the 4 A's. We discussed stop fighting and trust the process. And we also discussed letting go and letting God. Today, I will discuss the gift of desperation. And I want to fill you in on a little secret. It was, in fact, the gift of desperation that produced in me the will to stop fighting and trust the process. The humility to let go and let God. And the open mind to become aware. Then it also produced the honesty to be able to acknowledge and admit and to be able to accept reality. Yes, all these things we discussed prior to the 4 A's was the gift of desperation forming and taking place and shape inside of me. Some will call this rock bottom. Some will call it the end of the rope. Some will even call it the last leg. Some will even call it I am at my wit's end. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is a gift. Yes, it is. It is a gift that is given to you. Now, are you at the end of the rope is my question for you today. Have you had enough? Well, I don't know, Kareem. I don't know. That's fine if you don't know right now. Are you tired of being at the same spot? Let me rephrase that question. Are you tired of returning to the same spot? In other words, are you tired of repeating the same thing, the same cycle? That hamster, that gets on that wheel, they end up in the same spot. They think that they're going somewhere. They think that they are growing, but they're not. They're stuck. Well, I've been there, so I want you to make this notation for yourself that you're not alone. However, maybe you have to be desperate enough. Maybe this is something that is being produced in you. Maybe it is just difficult to see, or your ego is blinding you to the fact that you cannot even see that there is something wrong or that there is a problem. You may think there is nothing wrong with you repeating the same wreckage, the same destructive behavior or patterns. That is how it was for me. Remember, my addiction was a coping mechanism. It was how I survived. It was for me to feel better, and it was for me to not feel a thing at all. That was the point in my life where I became desperate enough to be willing to listen as the dying could be. Are you desperate enough to listen as the dying could be? I do not want it for you that you are on your deathbed and you have had the third heart attack, and the doctor is saying, okay, well, it is time for a heart transplant. It may be time for a pacemaker. It's time for something because this heart is no longer working. It is an old heart. It is masked with old ideas, old fears, old patterns, old behaviors, and now it is time for a new heart. We have to give you the gift of desperation in order for you to live. It is a gift. I have to give you this new heart. I have to give you this inner strength, this courage, this hope, this humility. I have to put this inside of you for you to be willing to want to live. Are you willing to receive the solution? Are you willing to receive help? I was at that point in my life. I was desperate. February 21st, 2016, I became desperate. The gift was complete inside of me. The gift was being formed all that time from the depth of my old identity. Remember those episodes? The gift was being formed inside of me as I was a caterpillar being forced to go into my cocoon. I wouldn't even say forced, but that's how it felt. Growing pains were happening so that the gift of desperation can be implanted inside of me and I can receive a new heart. We discussed how first I had to be willing to accept what was, to accept what was real, the facts. I had to accept those, and I had to accept my feelings. I also had to accept the facts over my feelings. Yes, I have acknowledged the fear. I have admitted that I feel scared. And what is it that I'm afraid of? Yes, I've been there before. Yes, this is reality. And yes, it sucks. I don't like this reality. However, this is real. The gift of desperation then comes into play by helping me accept all of what is, but it also produces a willingness and a strong desire to change, to not want to live in this reality, but to also face it head on. It also produces hope, because when you receive the gift of desperation, it produces the courage to believe in yourself, and to believe in something greater than you. When I tell you, you're on your deathbed, you have had the third heart attack, the doctor says, okay, this is what we have to do now. You are desperate enough to believe in that doctor. He has the right answers. So for me, I had to believe in something greater than me has the right answers. I also believed in myself that I now can do this because the gift of desperation produces hope. You're on your deathbed and you know that you need to go ahead and die it now, or else we are going to have to make a heart transplant. The doctor has been telling you for years to get on this strict diet, but you did not want to listen. And now it's either life or death. I'm sure that you will choose hope. I'm sure that you will see some hope and you will be like, I want life. What is it that I need to do, doc? That is how it was for me, as I explained to you in one of the episodes when I went to see my therapist, and my therapist suggested, hey, why don't you try a different group? So it not only produces hope, because it forces you to confront your failures and your limitations, which then clears the way for surrender and radical acceptance and a willingness to change. And then that produces an open mind to become open to a new solution and a perspective. Hey, Kareem, why don't you try a different group? Maybe that group that you're going to isn't working for you anymore. Why don't you try something new and completely different? I've discussed with you how I became aware that my ways of coping, which was my addiction, right? Also was my denial of my ego, because I was filled with it, saying that I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I denied it. I refused to listen to anyone who said that I had a problem, including myself. Then I became aware that none of that is working for me anymore. I am the problem. I am the source of my own misery. All of my self-reliant, egotistical efforts to control the situation was an epic fail. To feel better was an epic fail. After becoming aware of this, it then produces the ability to acknowledge and admit, which basically was me coming to a place of surrender and vulnerability. It then produces humility, to where I became humble enough to accept, by the way, also, that I am powerless over this addiction. I continue to do the same thing. I am just like baby. Remember that? And so it gave me the willingness to ask for help and to seek a solution, and to ask help from others, to go to this support group, and to even believe and hope in something greater than myself. The gift of desperation, as I stated earlier, produces the willingness to change. I became willing to try something new and different. This right here, my friends, is the foundation of recovery, transformation, personal growth, and development, because this breaks the destructive, the wreckage cycle of the past, which was insanity, at least for me. That was the cycle I was on, because I was doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So I had to become willing to try something completely new and different. I had to let go of my old ideas, which then brings me into acceptance and letting go, and then accept that my current intolerable reality, and let go of that, because I cannot take this reality anymore, and let go of the fight to control it, which then makes a pathway and clears the wreckage for light to come in and live a new and have a purpose-filled life, which then produces in me more gratitude. And I can now look back and even share with you how that experience saved my life, and then see it as a gift. That gift of desperation produces action, because not only once I received it, I became aware, I acknowledged, I admitted, and then I accepted it, and then I said, okay, what is it that I need to do now to stay sober and clean? What is it for you? It could be a relationship that you're in that is toxic or abusive. Do I remain in this relationship? I am desperate enough now to leave this man or this woman. They have abused me emotionally. They have abused me physically. They have abused me psychologically. They have abused me verbally too many times. I've had enough. I am desperate enough now to listen to all those people that have been telling me he is no good for you. For all of those people that have been telling me she is no good for you. So I wanted to come on and just share with you that the gift of desperation not only works for those that have an addiction, but it works for a lot of circumstances in life. It can even work in your life if you're tired of being in the same situation, living check to check, paycheck to paycheck. This job, man, it's not paying the bills. I am broke after I get my paycheck. You'll become desperate enough to leave that job, to find something new, to accept a different solution. I wanted to come on and share with you that specifically. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to wrap that up and share specifically that is what was happening And wanted to just dive a little bit deeper because I know we talked about stop fighting, trust the process, letting go, letting God, and then talked about awareness, acknowledging, admitting, and acceptance. All of that, all of those things was part of the gift of desperation that was being formed in me. That was part of me hitting rock bottom, part of me being at the end of my rope, and part of me being at my last leg at my wit's end. I share this with you because I want you to take a look at yourself and to see the situation that you are in, the reality that you are in. Are you tired? Are you desperate enough to clear the wreckage? Are you desperate enough to take the time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear? I love y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.